Hello, everybody, and welcome to Tuesday Night Nonfiction Book Club. So we've only got tonight and two more nights left on this book, which is a phenomenal book. The book on situational awareness by Matt Patrick Kelly. Just a great book. I think there's some things in there you really need to take to heart. You need to really do these exercises. We're only kind of breaking the ice with the topics that he brings forth in these books. He has some really good practical exercises. Hello, Clarity Jane. My Prepper Journey, Matthew Malloy. Welcome, everybody. Little Lone Prepper, welcome. So, but I mean, we're just barely scratching the surface. The book has a lot of exercises, things you can do to overall increase your overall situational awareness. Look around you, see what's going on. I think it's going to be more and more important. I think if you read the book Unrestricted Warfare, let me put that up here. Let me just get to my word thing here. I think I have it. This is a book I think everybody needs to read in order to understand what's going on right now in our country. Basically, these two colonels, Colonel Liang and Jiang Sui, basically wrote a book, and they told us that the fifth generation warfare, unrestricted warfare, is they're going to do things that it's not going to be obvious for us that they are doing it. We won't be able to put the points together. So, some of these suspicious train derailments in weird places, attacks on transformers and substations, and food plants burning down, and things just mysteriously happening. There's no way you can kind of say this and this are connected or interrelated or anything else. And so they're talking about in the book Unrestricted Warfare that is the overall intent of the Chinese and how they're going to destroy the U.S. Now, you couple that book, what they told us back in the mid-1990s, and what's going on now, and then you look at the fact that we know for a fact there are at least 30,000 military age, unaccompanied Asian men. I'm going to call them Asian rather than just straight Chinese. We also know that there are Saudis. We also know that there are Russians. We know that there are Iranians. Other entities who don't like the U.S. are taking advantage of the come on over policies on our southern border, which is why you need to be aware of. There's probably at least 50,000 bad actors in the United States right now. You need to do the exercises in this book. You need to be aware of what's going on around you because I think that is the current threat. I think that Red Dawn, I was an intelligence analyst. And so I always told people Red Dawn was not practical because neither the Chinese nor the Russians had enough landing craft, nor did they have enough aircraft to get more than a division across the ocean, assuming that 100% of what they shipped out arrived on our shores. Now, they would have to go through our Navy and our Air Forces, and they'd have to go through our allies and everything else. So I don't think that they'd probably get, but maybe 25% of what they shipped out would actually reach our shores if they could. And so I didn't think that was practical back then. Now, however, since they have been able to put these people in as fifth columnists, if you will, inside of our country, they don't have to ship anybody here. They don't have to have any landing craft. They don't have to have any long-term aircraft. And what are we doing? We're helping them by housing them in National Guard armories and on military posts. And, so there you go. Just put them real close to the weapons they need to take our country down. So that's why I think you need to be really aware of what's going on around you and pay attention to it and watch out for the other guy when you're out in public. So we've got 2 more weeks left on this book because we're doing each of the 4 major sections each week. And then I've decided that what we're going to do for the next book is, because it's also looming, this is my copy. This is the 1980 version. I bought it at the PX, the Post Exchange in Augsburg, Germany in 1980. And it cost me $9.85 at the AFES, the Army and Air Force Exchange Service bookstore. Actually, it was a Stars and Stripes bookstore. $9.95. I'm sorry. Now it's up to. I just ordered the newest edition, the third edition, so that I can make sure that I'm reading the same thing you are. But this is from the 1980s, and as usual, you're going to see all my highlighting and tabbing and everything else. So I've got to transfer that over to the new book, and we'll do that starting in October. I think it's the second Tuesday in October. But I think that's going to be a very appropriate book for us, given all the threats that we currently have. So there's going to be another link. I'll have a link to my Amazon page where you can buy that off of Amazon. It's $27, I believe, if you get the soft. Let me check one more time. If you get the soft cover, it's $27. And let me go here, Amazon, and then orders. Come on, orders. Cooperate with me here. Okay, so Nuclear War Survival Skills Updated, Expanded 2022 edition. It's going to be arriving here Friday, $24.16. So that means that if you use the link that I'll provide, you don't get a discount or anything, but I get 48 cents, 2% of the sale price as a commission for referring you to it. There's also the hardbound or spiral bound book. Do not get the spiral bound book. That's going to be an older edition. Okay, you want the 2022 edition. I think that's the 1987 edition that is spiral bound. You want the paperback edition. That's going to be your newest edition with all the expanded and everything info. And we'll start talking about nuclear war survival skills. Okay, so hopefully that'll help everybody kind of get better prepared for that. Let me catch up on chat here. Who have I missed? Sumi, welcome. Did you find what you were looking for last night as far as finding that online? I sure hope so. If not, I can give you a link. I'll look for a link and I'll try to get it up here this evening before we shut down. Looks like we have 11 currently on. Muskoka Oma, welcome. And glad to see you. Okay, so we're only going to do 6 of these, because remember, I don't want to give away the entire book. I really want you to support this author. I would like for you to order his book and read it and get a lot from it. So the first one we're going to talk about basically is his chapter called Case the Joint. So what he's advocating is, for example, when I go to the grocery store and I pull into a parking space, just basically before you get out of your car, look in your rearview mirror, look in both of your side view mirrors, look in front of you, turn around, look over your shoulders before you get out of your car. Likewise, probably one of the most susceptible times when we are going to be mugged is when we're coming back to the car with groceries in our arms. So, take a look around. When you're pushing your cart, don't just focus on getting to your car. Look around. Are there people around your car? Are there people who are coming and going and everything else? Who could be a threat? Who could be wanting to get into your car? So probably you might want to start categorizing people. So if there's 3 people kind of there close to you and 2 of them are pushing carts, they're probably not going to give up their carts to take yours or to take your car. The third person was walking without anything, or maybe just a small bag, or maybe just 1 or 2 items. That's the person you might want to keep your eyes on. So kind of take a look at the environment around you and be constantly aware of those people. And try to remember, and is there anything suspicious about them? Some of the states have already started putting up billboards that if you see something, say something, and to call your local sheriff or the state highway patrol, the state police department, your local police department. And they are encouraging you that if you see something suspicious, notify somebody. I think even our government is afraid of what the federal government is doing with this open border and all these military age unaccompanied men who are well dressed, clean. I mean, you don't walk across the Sonoran Desert and have brand new tennis shoes and brand new clothing on. That's not something that's going to be happening. Hello, Triple G Farms. Welcome, Holly Ivans. So yeah, and there, my Pepper Journey has a very good piece of advice. whenever possible, don't go alone and don't go at night. So, try to take advantage of, having people there to help you look out and to be there with you to protect you and everything else, especially for women. There's an awful lot of people out there who are willing to take advantage of an unaccompanied single woman whose hands are fully occupied carrying groceries or anything else. So just be aware of that. What can you do to mitigate that? Helen and I prefer to go shopping first thing in the morning. They have a tendency to stock the shelves overnight. And so if we can go to the store at, say, 9 o'clock in the morning, chances of us finding what we want and being in stock on the shelves is better. We go together. Very seldom will one of us go alone. Probably the only time Helen goes alone if she goes to Kohl's. I don't care for Kohl's at all. I've stepped in it a couple times, and that was to do some Amazon returns. But no, I don't care for Kohl's. So that's about the only time she goes alone, unless she's going to go get me a present or something like that. Speaking of which, we're only a week away from her birthday. Let me see here. So her birthday is going to be next Monday is her birthday. So I got to take her out to dinner. So we'll probably go to dinner and then I'll come back and do the 8 o'clock live on the citizenship questions and see how we do there. Hello, KP Heathen. Welcome. So that's number one. And that is basically case the joint. Okay. Number two, he wants you to stay out of reach and out of touch. So what he means by out of touch is stay at least an arm's length away from anybody else around you whenever possible. Try to maintain distance between you and them. He goes into very explicit details about do not carry outside the waistband. That makes that number one, it's visible. Number two, it makes an obvious pickpocket type of a grab your thing away from you and use it against you. If you're going to wear it inside the waistband, and hopefully you don't imprint so nobody knows that you're carrying. But he has a couple good tips here. Let me see. That was case the joint. We are now into. So I have a whole bunch of nice little bookmarks here. As a matter of fact, one of my bookmarks is a little note that was included in the card from Little Lone Prepper. So stay out of touch. So tag your it. Pretend like you're playing tag with somebody. If someone were to try to tag you, can they snag you instead of tag you? Can they take your purse, a cell phone, your wallet, your Uncle Mike's OWB holstered pistola with no retention? These are items that can potentially be snagged. So, and there's a couple things. I did a real quick short video. We went to, I think it was Costco, and put Helen's purse in the child seat area, and then used the child's safety strap and put that around the handles of her purse, so that while you're walking, nobody can just walk by and grab the purse. It's going to be locked in, secured in with those safety straps. Make sure you also have it snapped shut. I forgot to snap it shut. That was, probably shouldn't have videoed it with it wide open. Should have taped it shut. My sister always gets upset with me because I have this humongous wallet, and it's the only leather item I own or that I wear. But this is I've had it now for, maybe 10, 15 years. And I just don't want to give it up. But my sister says, it sticks that far out of your pocket, so somebody can just come by and grab it. And she's right. And Helen says the same thing. And so you just have to be aware of that. As a matter of fact, when Triple G Farms and I went to lunch last Saturday, it fell out of my pocket on the ground while I was eating lunch. So, yeah, what can you do to protect yourself? Some of us do stupid things for stupid reasons, and we make ourselves targets by doing that. And I'll admit, I do stupid things at times, but we try to live and learn. What I'm thinking about, and I had a dream about this last night, believe it or not. What I'm thinking about is one of those belts, kind of a waist belt that has a little pouch on the end, the front, kind of like, I guess they call it a runner's pouch, but maybe something like that. to carry my wallet. I'm getting to the punch point to where belts aren't doing me any good either. I'm going to have to start wearing suspenders here in the near future. Got to get over the bulge there that's beginning to really be prominent, regardless of whether I do sit-ups or not. So anyhow, so that's kind of out of touch. So things to consider, the end of the story of out of touch. The more stuff you have, the more opportunities there are for somebody to be potentially snagged and taken. I don't carry anything of value in my back pockets. I will tell you, at JFK, when I was flying to Field Station Korea in 1980, I'm sorry, to Field Station Augsburg in 1980. Was it 80? No, 1977. I flew there Thanksgiving Day 1977, and I flew home Thanksgiving Day of 1980. So I bought this book, early in 1980. I think it was probably about May or April or May at AFES in Augsburg, Texas. Stars and Stripes bookstore. But anyhow, when I went to JFK to fly over to Germany, the pickpockets at JFK are just phenomenal. They came up with a razor and just cut my hip pocket, and my wallet fell right on out. And they got it. I didn't even know that my pocket had been cut, and my wallet just slipped right out. As soon as I felt the reduction in weight in my hip pocket, and I was wearing Class A's, which is kind of like a suit. So that means they even got underneath that flap of my suit jacket. And that was, just devastating. I can't believe that they did that. So what I did was I switched. I used to wear, up until that time, I always carried my wallet in my right hip pocket because I was right-handed. Now I carry my pocket, my wallet in my left hip pocket because there's a button. The reason I bought this one was because I originally had a chain. I thought that would be neat, a little bit more secure. It's a biker's wallet, and no, it's not. It's just more cumbersome. So you've got to kind of, judge these things. I don't carry anything of value in my back pockets, just a plastic comb and one or two flossers. All of my goodies are on the front side of me, from my hip bones to just short of my center line on both sides. Incorporating other exercises from the book while executing this week's exercise is wise. Let me see here. I have a feeling I'm going to get one for a present here in the near future. So that's what I'm kind of waiting for, right? We'll see. Yep. You would think that I would learn by now, but no, sometimes I have to be slapped across the face with it. Okay, next one. And especially for ladies, hair is a handle. So if you have long hair, if you have, especially if you have braids or ponytails, just be aware that you can be dragged. Whoa. So one of the chandelier lights just kind of flickered, and now it's dead. So the other one went dead about 5 minutes before going live. And so now I've got 2 out of 5 chandelier lights are now dead. Let me go turn on the kitchen light, and maybe that'll give us a little bit more light. It's all right. Okay, so the next one is going to be hair is a handle. So just be aware that you can be grabbed by your hair, and that can be used against you, especially from behind. It makes you a big target from behind. Of course, I keep my beard cut. It's very difficult to grab a hold of anything here. I try to keep it trim so that it's not a hand. But I just recently got a Mira fire mask. And so it's a complete face mask, just like what we had in the Army, the M17. And but this has a NATO side canister, and it's rated for smoke in case of fire. The bad thing about a face mask is if you have facial hair, they won't seal, and it doesn't do you any good. So sometime here in the future, I'm going to have to get a new wallet. I'm going to have to shave. So life is changing, that's for sure. But I would just like for you all to consider that how can you arrange your hair so that you're still as attractive as you always are, without making it a tool that can be used by somebody who wants to aggressively um, come up towards you and take advantage of that. And remember, most of the time, I'm going to say as a general rule, and there are always exceptions. One of them is Becky. What's Becky's last name? From Hillbilly Kitchen. Um, she wears her hair long, really long, and it's loose, but she wears it down in front so that nobody could grab her from behind. I don't think she does it intentionally for a safety purpose, but she does have long hair. It is loose and it comes down in front. And I noticed that about her. So if you're going to wear braids or you're going to wear a ponytail, if you can keep it in the front of you, that would probably do you a lot better safety-wise, especially when you're walking through areas where there is an opportunity for bad to happen. Um, okay. So Muskoka, Oma, I have always been infatuated with long hair. Um, I don't know why. I think, part of the reason I grew a beard was after being an executive for, almost 30 years and having been in the Army for 21 years. When I finally retired, I said, now I have some freedom and I can grow a beard. Uh, but like I said, as we get closer and closer to Armageddon, I think I'm going to have to shave it so that I can wear a mask and get it to seal properly. The other thing is I got to buy another mask so I can make sure I get Helen taken care of. She doesn't have to worry about shaving like I do. The next one, chapter 21, get the big picture. Um, all too often, we fail to see the forest because of the trees. So we get so focused on the one guy in front that we perceive to be a threat that, and he could be, but he isn't certainly. We fail to see the three further out who are definite threats, and we should probably keep an eye on them. So, try to not focus on any one thing too much. Get out there and search out there and see everything else that's out there. Um, So Pat's talking about those 30,000 Asian unaccompanied males, military age. I'm quite sure that's what you're talking about. And although I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I have a feeling that's a continuation of that discussion. And you're absolutely right. And the strange thing is, their tennis shoes are clean, their clothes are clean. You don't walk across the Sonoran Desert; they were bust. And you can't convince me that that's not an organized effort. Same thing with the Saudis, same thing with some of the Syrians and Iranians and other people from those areas that are coming across. We've even had Russians and Ukrainians. I can understand why the Ukrainians are coming. They want to get out of a war-torn country. Um, but, some of them are probably avoiding the draft. But, mostly females. I know of 3 Ukrainian women here in this area. Go to dinner quite frequently with 2 of them. And just so I can practice my Russian and keep up with it. Now, remember, Ukrainian is a totally different language from Russian, although they are very, very close. So she is old enough to where Ukraine was a socialist state inside the SSSR, the Sovietsky Socialistic Republic, the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics. So it was a republic inside of the USSR. So they were mandatorily taught Russian. So she speaks both Ukrainian and Russian, as well as English. And so she and I get an opportunity, the 2 women and I, and their one's husband, get an opportunity to practice my Russian. And I always, always appreciate that. As a matter of fact, I need to go find my language books and start trying to get some of that brought back up, because I have a feeling that may be beneficial to us here in the very near future. I saw that, Diana, that there was a report that they are being flown in, and absolutely. For the personal, he has a personal share that he has that I think is really important about get the big picture. He says, Uh, Now for the personal share. When I was a rookie at the Dallas Police Academy, we cadets played both cops and bad guys, hiding in buildings so that we could practice answering burglary calls. The biggest sin most of us committed was that our field of vision was often limited to the head height, and just a few feet in front of us, meaning we would often scan from eye level to the floor, forgetting to look up. I would get high, low, and cram my body into tight places where most of my classmates didn't think a grown man, could hide. I'd then scare the crud out of my classmates as they passed my hiding spots when I either grabbed them, poked them, or yelled at them, hide and go seek. So, he's talking about the wise attacker is going to be attacking you from a place that you never would have suspected would be a hiding place. So you're going to look at those obvious places. You're going to constantly try to be aware of what's going on around you, and you're going to miss the places that aren't so obvious. They're the actual threats. So make sure that you're paying attention to that and you're getting the whole picture. You're not focusing in. Don't get tunnel vision. Don't focus in on one thing at the exclusion of seeing all the other stuff around you that are also potential threats. Okay, the next chapter that I would like to talk about, and this kind of piggybacks on what we were just talking about, and it's called Aim High. And this is just get in the habit of once in a while stepping outside and looking as far away as you can, and seeing what you can notice about things far away, and then start working your way in towards where you are, and do that for 360 degrees. How far away can you see? What's normal? What's abnormal? What are some of the threats? Make sure, I would strongly recommend, when you go outside, try to get a good pair of polarized sunglasses. And that's going to help you see further because you're going to have the sun's rays, of course, beating in on you. And you want to have some good polarized sunglasses. I like fisherman's sunglasses. If you can get you go to Academy and get what the fishermen use, those polarized, so that they can actually see through the water down to the fish. They are phenomenal, and it will block a lot of the sun. It also helps you to see more distinctly and more clearly at range. Then, one of the things you might want to do as well is get yourself an inexpensive pair of binoculars, or a monocular. We used to call it a telescope. Nowadays, they call it a monocular, meaning just one ocular instead of. So monocular, mono is one, and then binocular, two tubes. You know what I mean? And constantly challenge your peripheral vision. So, exercise your eyes. You can take your hands and stick them out and say, at what point can I see my thumbs if they're sticking up? Okay. I probably have about 120 degree field of vision. I don't have 180. I only have about 120 at my age. So what's yours? And then can you exercise your eyes by constantly moving and seeing where your peripheral vision can get so that you can get a broader and broader view. Now, that's also going to help your eyes for night vision, because remember that, I forget, I always get confused, cones and rods. I think it's the cones detect color and mostly straight ahead, and the rods are off to the side and help you with peripheral vision and basically movement. And so you're going to use your rods primarily to see things at night. You're going to use your cones primarily to see things during the daytime. I think that's right. Triple G, I know you're an expert on that. So correct me if I'm wrong there, please. Let's get the right information out to people. Okay. The next exercise he wants you to do is just to take deep breaths, breathe. A lot of times when we're focused on something, we forget to breathe. And that's going to limit your field of vision. It's going to limit your ocular ability. It's going to limit your brain's ability to process the information that's being fed to it. So make sure you're doing good, deep breaths. If you can, breathe in through your nose and exhale through your mouth. And that just helps things go well. I didn't realize that when I was a kid growing up, I always had one side was always blocked. So I'd blow my nose, and then within 5 minutes, the other side would get blocked. Finally, about, maybe 10 years ago, I went into an ENT, and he wrote a router to all my sinuses so that now I can breathe through my nose, both sides, all the time. Unbelievable. And then don't forget to use saline spray and clean your nose on a regular basis as well. But breathe. Practice breathing. Take deep breaths. Get your mind engaged. Get your eyes the oxygen that they need, and the blood flow that they need. And that's going to help you to be more discerning in what you're going to be doing. So he says each day this week perform box breathing, also known as autogenic breathing or combat or tactical breathing, a minimum of 3 times during the week. So inhale for 4 seconds through your nose, hold your breath for 4 seconds, then forcefully exhale for 4 seconds, and then hold the empty lungs for another 4 seconds. So you're going to take it in for 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, hold it for 4, forcefully exhale. Now, if you forcefully exhale, you're going to blow more air out than what you brought in. And then when you're out, you want to hold it again for 4 seconds. So you're training yourself how to use your oxygen more efficiently. So do 4 sets of those 3 times a day, about 3 days a week, and that should help you with your overall breathing. Okay, and then the final one I want to talk about tonight is Oswald is Coming, chapter 25. We all have our patterns. It's pretty easy to assassinate someone if you know their patterns. And Soko Begovic talks about this in his books. Fernando Ferfala Aguirre talks about it in his books. In his writings, I'm not going to say books yet, Venezuelan Prepper also talks about, you've got to alter your patterns of how you go places and how you come back from places. We get into stuck patterns. I go for my allergy shots, on Thursdays. I have my men's breakfast on Tuesday mornings. So I like to stop at some place on the way home. When I go on Saturday mornings, I go to the same 3 farmers markets. I don't go to them in the same order all the time. It depends on whether I want to stop by the LDS Provident Living Center, because if I'm going to stop by LDS Provident Living Center, I'll go to the LDS Provident Living Center first, and then I'll come back here. So that does it that way. If I'm not going to the LDS Provident Living Center, then I'm going to go to the closest one first and then go out and then come back. Because what happens is I'll be gone long enough to where I can stop. If I go to the next town over, I can get a pizza from our favorite pizzeria and bring that home for lunch on Saturdays. But that's another one of those patterns. So people know that if I start out at this one, I'm going to go to the pizza joint. So, we are creatures of habit. We do things. People know that I back my pickup in to my garage all the time. That's just something we learned in the military. You're going to, you want to get into that tactical ability to escape and just drive straight out. You don't want to have to worry about backing into things or anything else. That also puts the bed of the truck closer to the garage, so I can throw my stuff into the bed directly from the garage if I'm trying to escape. So, some of those things. So what are your habits? What are those things that you've gotten, the patterns that you have? Think back to the one we did last week, Creature of Habit, and how can you create alternatives? Do something different for 1 week, So for example, and another one of my habits, and most of the people know it, is I say we have a prayer called the Divine Mercy Chaplet, and so we pray it every day at 3:00 because that's the time that Jesus died on the cross. So we ask for divine mercy at the time that He sacrificed Himself for us. And then an hour after that, I do my rosary. So at 3:00 and 5:00 every day, I'm involved in prayer. And probably not going to change the 3:00 one because that's fixed because it's, associated with the crucifixion. The 5:00 one, when we first got married, Helen's Methodist. And so she could reach over and touch my hands. And she knew that if I was counting on my hands that I was praying. And So, so I used to do the rosary at night before when I was going to bed. Uh, Now I do it at 5 o'clock in the afternoon. But, I could also do it first thing in the morning. As a matter of fact, this morning I knew I was going to be out of the house when I wanted to do it. So I did it early this morning. And so, my prayer time changes with my needs around that. So let me see. A lot of men hook it in a chain and snap it. Yes. Yes. So that's basically what I intended to do with this wallet. But, um, I don't know. I just never, and I never got really around to it, putting that chain and then chaining it to my pocket. Yawn, yawn, yawn. That would make a lot more sense than what I'm currently doing, but, uh, we'll get it fixed here in the near future. You'll just have to, keep bugging me as much as my wife and my daughter and my friends bug me, and see how that goes. Okay, so that's about 36 minutes. That's all I have on that. Um, I didn't want to cover too much of his content in his book, so you can go ahead and go get it. There's a lot of great stuff in here that I just phenomenal. I got into an argument with a guy. I did a couple videos on nuclear preparations and nuclear fallout and things like that. And this guy wanted to argue with me. And so I quoted this book, and he says, "Oh, that book doesn't know what they're talking about. You got all this stuff." And so I gave his name and his stuff to Goshen Prepping, because Goshen Prepping he's a physician that was trained in same thing I was, CBNR, chemical, biological, nuclear, and radiological warfare. And so, he debunks a lot of these videos. So I gave him those where the guy badmouthed me and said, you can go take a look at this guy and maybe you can set him straight. But there is a difference between nuclear physics and valence chemistry. So do you understand what valence chemistry is? So valence chemistry is basically the lack of an ion, and you've got the ASDF fields surrounding the atom. And so if you have perfect harmony, so let's say something like the helium atom. Helium has two, and two. 2 electrons, 2 protons, 2 neutrons. So that's considered a stable isotope. Whereas hydrogen, on the other hand, has 1 electron. So it's always seeking another, and so that's an unstable isotope. So that's how you get H2. So you got 1 electron each, and then oxygen, the short 2 electrons, to become a stable. So if you have 2 hydrogens and 1 oxygen, and they bond together because they're looking how they can connect with each other, that's what forms water. So that's considered valence chemistry or non-organic chemistry. And then, of course, you have organic chemistry, where you have primarily carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, and sulfur are going to be the primary components of that. But carbon and hydrogen are going to be absolutely essential. So that's where you end up with things. Well, H2SO4, which is sulfuric acid, is valence. But you've got C12H22O11, which is a organic formula, and that's sugar or sucrose. So, I mean, you have to understand that not all chemistry is valence chemistry, and not all chemistry is nuclear chemistry, that there are differences. And so what you're doing with nuclear chemistry is you're actually taking the atom and you're smashing it, and then either causing a new isotope to form because of a split, fission, or you're causing 2 to join together and become a new one, which is fusion. So that's the whole idea. You're going to actually take those atoms and you're going to cause them to collide or to break apart because of a collision. So kind of interesting stuff, and we'll get into a little bit of that here in this book. So this is the gold one, or silver cover, 1980. That was updated in 1987, and I believe that book is red. And then the newest book, which I just ordered again today, it'll be here Friday, is the Green Book. And it's got a lot of new, expanded, updated stuff. And that's the 2022 edition. So they got some fantastic stuff here. One of them, so, prevailing, if you have nuclear attacks, what are the prevailing winds? If they're ground bursts and there's going to be fallout, what would that fallout look like? And one of the things I recommend you do is every morning when you wake up, take a look at windy.com and find the prevailing wind direction is. Because, for example, if the wind's coming out of the north, I'm safe if they drop a nuke on Austin, because all that wind's going to go towards San Antonio. On the other hand, if they drop it on Austin and the wind's coming out of the Gulf, then it's going to come right up over me. So, I have to be concerned about that. So it all depends on where is the prevailing wind that morning when you wake up, and that's what you're going to get concerned about. It also goes into protective factors, so getting as much mass between you and where you think the radiological contamination is going to be. So get as much mass as you can between you and it, and how to build that mass. So a lot of great information. So I think it's going to become handy. Hopefully we can get through all the chapters before it actually happens. How many chapters are there, you ask? Well, there are 16 chapters. So that'll take us 16 weeks, 4 months. So that should take us through the end of the year and up into January, February. Okay, so that's it. Where are we? What do we have? Any comments, questions, preferences? Do y'all think you would enjoy studying that book? I guess would be the first question I would ask, because I'm doing all the asking, I'm doing all the talking. No comments. I guess I put you all to sleep. Oh my gosh. Okay. Well, if there aren't any questions, and we pretty much covered this entire chapter here in this set of it, then I guess I'll leave it open for another 2 or 3 minutes. See if there are any questions. Hi, ABC Patriots. See if anybody has anything they would like to discuss in addition to what we have discussed. I am going to postpone doing Thursday night homecoming. I have a medical thing happening Thursday, and I'm not sure whether I will be fully self-aware in time for our live Thursday. So I'm not going to schedule the live for Thursday. I'm going to try to catch up the first Thursday in October with the volume 10, the homecoming, book 10 of the A American series. So we're going to postpone that for 1 week so that I don't act goofy or sleepy or anything else Thursday. And that way we can give you a little bit better quality video and a little bit better quality discussion. So ABC Patreon, it's great to have you aboard. Thank you. Okay, so has anybody heard anything more on that big offensive that supposedly happened last night that on the Krymsky Poloostrov, the Crimean half island or peninsula? Well, okay, tomorrow's going to be a busy day for me. Those of you who are content creators, I'm sorry, I need to catch up on some of you. Some of you are not, but golly, I tell you, I've been trying to catch up. I missed the live tonight with Nutrient Survival. I did put out a video this morning, and I forget who asked me. Somebody asked me to do breakfast, so I've done like 4 breakfast shorts on things you can do for breakfast so far. The first one was biscuits and gravy, oatmeal. Then yesterday I did dry cereal. And today I put one out on pancakes. Today's International our U.S. National Pancake Day, or pancake whatever. They have those days every once in a while. So today was Pancake Day. So I figured, that'd be a good one for pancakes. The one I'm going to put out tomorrow is probably going to be about macaroni and cheese. I saw an advertisement that they have mac and cheese bars now on the East Coast. It's kind of like a what would you call it? Smorgasbord, where you go up and you put together your own mac and cheese and you add different things to it, and vegetables and all this other different kinds of stuff. If you are aware of that, and if you can explain to me what's going on there, I would greatly appreciate it. Send me an email, and I'll put my email here. I would really like to learn more about that, because I'm going to teach. I'm going to put a recipe with my macaroni and cheese tomorrow. Spätzle Doppelbach. So one of my favorite restaurants was Anna aus Praha, or Anna from Prague, and this was in Stuttgart. It was in Ludwigsburg, a suburb of Stuttgart. But my favorite meal, and my wife cooks it for me every year for my birthday. It's Spätzle, which is German egg noodles, and then you turn it into a casserole by layering egg noodles and ham and cheese and onions, and then you continuously layer that. And so it becomes kind of a macaroni and cheese, because the cheese melts down into the macaroni, the egg noodles, but you also have ham and onions with it. So I'm going to give you the recipe for that, talk about that tomorrow a little bit with macaroni and cheese, some things you might want to consider for long-term survival. Okay, so that's it. So remember, let me get this is only 3 lines. Why can't I get it memorized? Numbers chapter 6, verses 24, 25 to 26. The Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord let his face shine upon you and be gracious to you. The Lord look upon you kindly, and most importantly, grant you peace. So back when I was a kid, that was Dona Nostra Pacem. Grant us peace. Dona Nostra Pacem. So remember that we're all in this together, so we can come out the other side together. Please, please, please. And I know that I'm preaching to the choir because you guys are so good at it. Please be kind, polite, and respectful to each other, because togetherness is the key. So no Thursday night. I will see you Monday night. Look forward tomorrow to the short that's going to be macaroni and cheese in a post-apocalyptic society. If you get the chance, here is the come on. Here's the link, so you can. Oh, it's not working. I got to use my mouse. For some reason, it won't let me arrow down on the comments. So, nope, I didn't do it. Wow. I thought I did create a banner for that. Let me see here. There we go. No, that's the other book. I will put in the show notes the link for Nuclear War Survival Skills. And that's going to be our book starting in October. I think it's going to be the second or third week of October. Third week of October. Third Tuesday in October, we'll start that. Okay. Take care, everybody. Have a great evening. Always pleasant to see you. Thank you so much for being here.